Since you brought up the pop culture thing, there's this, I was just thinking, like, is Steve a mad scientist or a mad artist? Because I was thinking about this, you know, why is there such sort of, on the pop cultural level, such anxiety, almost like a bio-horror around this kind of stuff? And, well, okay, maybe one part of it's the mad scientist motif, which is old, right? It's Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Moreau and up through the present day, kind of. And then, you know, but Steve's also an artist. So I was like, well, is there a mad artist tradition in our culture? Oh, you know, Caravaggio and Van Gogh and Artaud and up to Yayoi Kusama, right? So there's a whole mad artist. And so maybe he's like the embodiment of both of those things, you know, on this cultural level. But what's weird is that, you know, and it's not, I mean, there was I think on this TV show, Medical Investigation, maybe a few years back, there was an episode that had an artist that was using biological materials and stuff. Michael Crichton's used it in one of his books. So it's become an archetype now, you know, on the popular culture level. And it's interesting because, you know, the mad scientist, the problem with the mad scientist is always you create the monster and it goes out. And you sort of, you know, my God, what have I done? Is this, and it goes out in the world and harms other people. Whereas the mad artists are always auto-destructive. You know, it's suicide, the insane asylum, it's, you know, it's whatever. So again, it's like these two pathologies maybe that are starting to percolate in pop culture. And, you know, no wonder there's massive fear and anxiety on that level.
It's 8 o'clock now, and we wanted to have some time for questions. So I don't know who has the microphone. You're going to steal one of our microphones? Okay. So if anyone has a question, raise your hand high, and she'll bring you a microphone.
Steve, while they're getting there, I just want to ask you a question. Were you ever offered a plea bargain? No.
No, I was never offered a plea bargain. I was the example they wanted to make. I was the one.
They really wanted to make an example.
They didn't. Bob was collateral damage. They really didn't care.
About him.
Yeah, that wasn't where they were working. So no, they weren't. But I would have never taken it.
I know you wouldn't have taken it, but I would. I mean, at some point they had to be embarrassed by this case. I guess not until the judge threw it out, though.
Oh no, they got a thorough humiliation almost the whole way through. But that's not the currency they deal in. They don't really care if the public. Because they have cases like that all the time. You know, that makes the public
it's a horrible thing to say about
humiliated by, I mean, the currency they deal in is all internal, and it's about promotions and moving up and down and who's making cases in spite of the humiliation or whatever. Like if the Hochul had made this case, the prosecutor,
that would have been a big deal.
It would have been a big deal for him.
I agree. Okay.
Hi. Yes. Thank you. Hi, Steve.
Oh, there you are.
Hey. Steve, I already talked to you about this one, and you may answer as well, but I kind of want to address this to everybody else. What sort of advice would you folks have for, you know, the budding amateur scientist that may be in this crowd here is trying to, you know, assemble a really basic molecular biology lab, say, in their home, you know, after the last 4 years? What do you have to say to us?
Hey, Eugene.
Yeah, well, mine is go for it. And you know, Eugene gave you the best. It's Biorad. They are ultimate. I mean, they really are there to try and get you. You know, and it's good quality equipment. You know, that you can use. It's amazing how much Biorad I see in professional laboratories. You know, I'll be walking around and they'll have these kind of, you know, massive PCRs, you know, and then there'll be one of the little Biorad portables. You know, they're making real inroads, and so it's not that hard. And you know, then there's lots of good high school suppliers that, you know, are pretty much open and will sell anything to anyone. And so yeah, it's easy to get yourself started in it, and well worth the exploration. If nothing else, on the level of science studies, because I think as we've been hitting at, that's been like a kind of permanent, you know, latency in this conversation, is that if the application of science is not democratized, that is, there isn't a group of citizens that can hold it accountable, we're in a lot of trouble, right? And certainly the idea right now is, among our present executive branch, is that it should be done in secret, and that these kind of decisions should be made by specialists and experts that they appoint. Right? So it's not like they'll have an ideological virus or anything, you know, it's like, which always is the case. So yeah, I mean, it's an important thing to remember that science really needs to be a part of life and to be active in it, because it has such tremendous effect on us. And if we don't do it and we step outside, the kind of, like I said, the Bush dream of, you know, no one touches it but our experts, that's what's going to happen. And it's going to become weirder and weirder for us to have the equipment instead of more and more common, which is what it's got to become, so that the weird police don't come for us, right? Because we know as artists, that's what we do. We do weird stuff. You know, we're about the unusual and what's not normative and reframing. So yeah, so you know, if we let the weird police stay out there in this realm, we are in trouble. So please, replicate, you know.
I was asked to introduce myself, so I'm Tony Conrad. I'm a colleague, proud to be a colleague of Steve's at the University in Buffalo. And since I say that, I'd like to welcome the FBI people here from my district. Yeah. Yeah, would you identify yourself if you're an agent of the FBI and you're here? They never do. My question is this: there's a certain intimation in some of the discussion that somehow you or a critical art ensemble in the course of this work, in a way, stepped over the line and then actually were exonerated, or in some way that even though you stepped over the line, it turned out it was okay in the end. I'm very interested in this line, and I'm wondering what that should mean to us. Like, should we be trying to step over the line? Like, I'm a little disappointed that I don't think you did step over the line.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. And I think that maybe people need to step over the line quite a bit more, but then I'm not sure there is a line. Maybe there's a large territory we don't even know about in which you can't find a line.
I don't know. I think there's two lines, right? There's one which is the line of legality, and yeah, lawyers are gonna be arguing over it forever. But I do think that's an easier one to find. And I do also think, because of kind of certain hysterical associations with these kind of materials and processes right now, there's no need to step over that one to have maximum impact, right? I mean, you know, like in the case of Gentero, when we were telling people, we've got recombinant E. coli here, are you gonna let it go? And they're thinking, oh my God, it's the stuff that poisons our hamburgers, and you know, like, I've really got to think about this. You know, what happens when recombinant organism gets into the environment, even though nothing, because we had engineered it to die if it did. So you know, with just the theater of it, you can, you know, I think you can make your point without, you know, and when we did molecular invasion, when we were looking for a way to intervene in Monsanto's, you know, cash cow Roundup Ready crops, I mean, you know, we were pushing it a little bit there of how you could do a biochemical intervention that would target the specific gene they used to modify it. So it was a target-specific intervention. You know, you can see, you know, that does start getting on a dual-use kind of point, and that's, you know, that's okay. But then there's the second line, and the second line is, like I was talking about, the weird line. Right? Where all of a sudden it can be reframed to make it something it's not, even though it's legal. Right? And that's the one that's very hard to find. And often it is conjured by completely arbitrary and capricious means. And you know, so that's one you can't, yeah, I totally agree with you. That line is out there, but we can't find it. It's a complete specter, and it's just going to be used when it's practical for an enforcement agency to use it.